Trump's 10-day ultimatum reached its end, and we're gonna discuss the truth behind President Trump's claim about sending guns to the protesters through the Kurdish forces. Hello. Just hours ago, the 10-day deadline ended. On Sunday, in a post in his Truth Social, Donald Trump reminded Iran of the ultimatum he gave them. He gave them 10 days as a deadline to make a deal or open up the Strait of Hormuz. He threatened that if they did not reach a deal by the deadline, all hell will rain on them. In the next hours, we're gonna see a new phase of the ongoing war. We're gonna see, unfortunately, the destruction of Iran's infrastructure, electric plants, and factories. We're gonna see mounting pressure on Iran to open up the Strait of Hormuz. And all hell is expected to rain down on Iran. It's already started for the last 2-3 hours, telling you all hell is gonna rain down on Iran at a time when the new leader of the Islamic Republic is unconscious and unable to govern the war-torn country. The British newspaper, The Times, today reported that according to the intelligence assessment that is claimed to be based on American and Israeli intelligence, Mojtaba Khamenei, the new leader of the Islamic Republic, is unconscious and receiving treatment in Qom, and is, at least for now, unable to participate in governing decision-making. Now let's talk about Iran's protesters and the guns Donald Trump claimed to have sent them. What is the truth about President Trump's claim about sending guns to the protesters through the Kurdish forces? In a Fox News show on Sunday evening, Trey Ying's Fox News reporter quoted Donald Trump that the United States sent guns to the Iranian protesters through the Kurds. President Trump told the reporter that the US had sent guns to the protesters, a lot of them, and he thought the Kurds had taken the guns. What is strange is that Trey Ying's in the Fox News appearance quoted from the president that I think the Kurds kept them. But later on in his Truth Social wrote that the president told him, I think they took them. Two extremely different messages. Less than 1 or 2 hours after the report, the Kurdish political parties denied receiving guns from the US for that purpose. This sparked a lot of discussion. Many exiled Iranians, mainly supporters of Reza Pahlavi, posted hateful messages on social media insulting the Kurds for apparently not handing over the guns to the protesters and in this way helping the regime to survive. Just ridiculous. Let me explain how childish this scenario would be if it were true, and what the truth is. Donald Trump sometimes expresses remarks that can be interpreted in different ways, and more often his remarks contradict each other. With that in mind, let me explain. If this strategy of sending guns to the protesters were true, it simply could be described as bizarre, unprofessional, and naive. It's something that the US is unlikely to think of. Don't forget, we're talking about the strongest intelligence service in the world, CIA. They cannot be so naive. First of all, according to the reporter, Trump decided to send those guns after the Islamic regime of Iran, the terrorist regime of Tehran, had already finished massacring tens of thousands of protesters across Iran. When tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets, they were easily slaughtered by the IRGC. They couldn't defend themselves, having been suppressed so harshly and so brutally that it will probably take them years to come back to the streets. How could the US A. Deem it appropriate to send guns in such a large scale? If so, sending guns for whom? To serve what purpose? Secondly, suppose many secret teams of one of the Kurdish political parties, for example, Democratic Party of Iranian Kurdistan, which has the strongest presence across Iran with more than 80 years of fighting history behind it, are given the mission of delivering those guns to the protesters. Well, doesn't it look silly? How can they trust the protesters? How can they find people among them who are willing to take a gun? Not a normal gun, but an American gun, a gift from Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America. Is such a thing feasible at all? Suppose those secret teams somehow miraculously were able to distribute thousands of guns among people. How could they be certain that those who accepted the gun were demonstrators, protesters, and not members of IRGC? Okay, let's assume thousands of protesters now have been equipped with US guns. How would they be able to organize themselves, train themselves, and plan to combat the regime? Trump yesterday had more to say on the matter. Please listen to it.
The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. And that's an edict, that's in writing. If they protest, if they go out in the streets, they will be immediately shot. They don't have guns. You know, we sent some guns, but the group that was supposed to give, which I said would happen to my people, I said it, I called it exactly. We sent guns, a lot of guns. They were supposed to go to the people so they could fight back against these thugs. You know what happened? The people that they sent them to kept them because they said, what a beautiful gun, I think I'll keep it. So I'm very upset with a certain group of people, and they're going to pay a big price for that. But the Iranian people will fight back as soon as they know they're not going to be shot and as soon as they can get weapons. If they had weapons, not many of them, if they had weapons that would go in the other way, and you know what would happen? Iran would give up in 2 seconds because they wouldn't be able to take it. But in Iran, they have absolutely no weaponry, and they've been told point blank, if you come out to the streets, you will be killed.
See, this time he didn't mention the Kurds specifically. It seems Trump might be threatening Iran with civil war, something that if it happened, it would weaken the regime to a great extent. And among the opposition, the Kurdish forces are the strongest and are able to liberate more than 50 small and big Kurdish cities at a remarkable speed, but if supported by Israeli or American aerial power from the sky. They can help people in other regions of Iran to take up arms and confront the regime with a great challenge. Please listen to this interview of Jial Gol, BBC World Affairs correspondent, responding to the news to Donald Trump's claim.
In this statement that Donald Trump made this afternoon in the White House garden, he said that he'd given weapons and guns to protesters, but a certain group of people in Tehran kept them.
Well,
what does he mean by that?
Yesterday, he had a phone call with a Fox News reporter. He said he blamed the Kurds. He said he sent weapons to the Kurds to give it to Iranian protesters. And it seems they saw it was a beautiful gun. They kept it for themselves. I was in Iraqi Kurdistan a week after a war. I talked to many of the Kurdish Iranian opposition groups there. They said they have not received any support from US or Israel. And also we knew at the time there was a report CIA has a plan to arm some of the Kurdish fighters to go inside Iran, but it was curtailed, and that plan. And even President Trump, at the time he came out, he said, oh, I love the Kurds, I don't want them to be killed, and we don't need their help.
But this suggestion that he keeps making, that if only they just rise up, if they grow a spine, they'd be able to overthrow the regime because we've made them weak. Does that reflect reality on the ground?
No, absolutely not. And I just want to say, listen, I don't know how on earth the Kurds could transfer those weapons through this heavily guarded border with
across the border and past the IRGC into Tehran.
Exactly. And even if there are, let's say they managed to took those weapons to Tehran, how they can identify who is protester, who is not, or even those protesters, do they have a training to use weapons? It's just bizarre, and just an hour after that report came out yesterday, all the Kurdish Iranian political parties, they came out. They said that statement is absolutely untrue. It's not. There's nothing to it.
Well, that's it. Have a nice day.